Will Jason Aldean be retiring? Is Jason Aldean going to be slowing down his career? Well, these are some of the questions that we are going to be answering today. After a latest interview with Taste of Country Nights, Jason Aldean explained what it would take for him to retire, as well as what the future of his career could possibly look like as he enters the latter part of his career. If you can believe it, Jason Aldean has already released 11 studio albums. The man has several awards, several number ones. We know his latest album was in 2023, just last year, Highway Desperado. And the guy is still knocking it out of the park. Since his debut self-titled album, Jason Aldean in 2005, to his latest album, Highway Desperado, Jason Aldean has been at the top of country music. And when you get to the level of stardom and success that Jason Aldean has, like many other artists, sometimes they ask themselves, well, what's next in my career? You're finally in that thing you've been working so hard to get into, which is the music industry. But not only did you get into it, you've been so successful at it. So what's next? So let's get into what Jason Aldean had to say to Taste of Country Nights about his retirement plans, as well as what the future, maybe even the near future of his career, and what it will look like for fans and even himself. In the interview with Taste of Country Nights, Jason Aldean said, "There's still a lot of things that I want to accomplish. I feel like I've been able to accomplish a lot of things that I set out to do originally and more." He continued and added, "I think I've done things in my career that I never dreamed I would have done. I started playing music when I was 14 years old. I started playing clubs and kind of starting this whole process." Now, this is kind of wild to hear Jason say. He says for 30 years, he says, I've been doing this. That's a long time to be in this game. But like I said, he worked hard. He became one of the best to do it. He's still at the top of country music right now. Very successful, still dropping great music, but 30 years, it's just hard to believe, thinking back to the first time that I heard Jason Aldean's self-titled album. But he says, for 30 years, I've been doing this, and I've spent most of my life trying to chase the music dream. And then you kind of get there, and then it's like, all right, now you're in it, what's next? Host of Taste of Country Nights, Evan Paul, then asked, will he ever retire? Jason responded to this question by saying, I don't know. I feel like if you're a musician, I feel like this is a job that it's hard to retire from. He adds, it's kind of a lifer gig, I may not tour as much as I tour now, but I feel like I will probably always play in some capacity. Jason Aldean also explained and made it very clear that the only way that he would stop playing music would be if the fans were not interested in seeing him perform anymore, or if for some reason, there was a situation where he was no longer able to perform anymore on stage. He says, look at people like the Stones. Not that they're 90, they're up there and they're still going out playing stadiums. I just feel like this is one of those gigs that if you're in it, you're kind of a lifer. The music industry itself is such a very hard business to break into. And these guys that get into it and finally make it into the music, you have to have a lot of passion and persistence and motivation and drive and love to be able to really break in and do this business. And I think, like he's saying there, once you're in it, it's hard to let it go. And you want to do it for as long as you can because you've worked so hard to get to that position. He mentions if fans don't want to see him anymore. Well, right now, that's not even a concern because Jason is still one of the best performers out there. Still should really be in the running for Entertainer of the Year. His shows are incredible. If you haven't seen him live yet, I recommend that you go and see Jason Aldean. Puts on a hell of a show. He's out there with his boy DJ Silver. It's just a phenomenal night. And when you look at guys like, Willie Nelson, Tracy Lawrence, Vince Gill, and then you look at the females out there doing it, Dolly Parton, Reba McEntire, Martina McBride, Sarah Evans. It is a lifer gig, it seems. These folks have been in the business for so long. This isn't really an unusual concept to want to do this for as long as you can. And really, if you are willing and able and, you're above 6 feet, just keep doing what it is you love to do. And I think Jason Aldean, portrays that very well because you can tell he has so much fun out there at his shows. As much as these folks perform and they still bring that high energy every single time that they're out there, and they still put all their effort and all this energy into the studio albums that we get or the singles or the features that they may be a part of, I think it all speaks for itself. And I also agree with Jason Aldean where he says he might slow down touring a bit. That's not unusual either. They've also worked very hard to get where they are. You know, taking a little break sometimes, that's okay. Blake Shelton, you know, we've seen him do it. Blake Shelton is on his Honky Tonk Bar Tour, but it's not very often you get to see him. But fans still show up. Why? Because they know they're going to get what they pay for, a great show. And Jason Aldean right now, he's still riding high in country music, but it's just interesting to hear what he had to say about any retirement plans or what the future, near future, could possibly look like as he is approaching 50 years old. But man, he looks great for his age, and the dude is as youthful as they come. And Jason Aldean is still one of the best doing it out there right now. That's your latest update here from CountryCast. Guys, be sure to subscribe down below if you have not already so you never miss out on any breaking news and updates.